Brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us today, Beatriz. A very, very warm welcome to you from the Vrije Universiteit and the MOOC team. We are very happy to have you here today with us. Um, Thank you, Alisah, also for joining us today. Alisah is our new mentor. Alisah, can I give the floor to you to introduce yourself?
Of course. So yes, my name is Alisah and I'm a second year student at the Vrije Universiteit. So this project of the MOOC of working with Amrita and with Laura, I'm so honored to be a part of it. It's for an honors program for me. So it's going to evolve into a research project where I pursue a research topic concerning Englishes, so pronunciation of English. So that's still in its infant stage. But the first step for me is mentoring students on the MOOC, and it's a great opportunity for me to collect data as far as English pronunciation goes, but also have the opportunity to interact with people who are all over the world and learning English at their own pace and coming from their own background. And yeah, so that's a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Alisah. We are so happy to have you as part of our MOOC team. I think as we are growing and we have now over 56,000 participants, I think to have like a wonderful, thoughtful, considerate and knowing set of eyes look through the comments is extremely important to us. My name is Amrita. I'm a mentor on the MOOC. I'm also a diversity facilitator and I do teachers training at the Vrije Universiteit here in Amsterdam. I work closely with Laura and I have had the privilege of doing the MOOC now for 2 years since its inception, and I thoroughly enjoy it. And joining us today, all the way from Barcelona, sunny with sunflowers, is Beatriz. Beatriz, a very warm welcome to you. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, thank you so much, Amrita, for this warm welcome and your warm introduction. Thank you, Alisah, as well, for giving me this opportunity, and also to university for having me here today. It is really a privilege for me to be with you. And I'm try to bring you some sunflowers and also the sun from Barcelona. And I'm also very happy to participate after having this wonderful experience in your MOOC. So I'm here to solve any questions that may help students to get on board.
Thank you so much, Beatriz. We have tons of questions for you. Of course, we are curious to also know what your experience was like. So tell us, what brought you to the MOOC? Why did you join it? What was your experience like?
Well, I may say that I'm a teacher I've been a teacher for more than 10 years in the field of fashion marketing and fashion consultancy. And due to lockdown, this terrible situation that we are all going through, I decided to do something else. So I dusted off my TEFL course and I said that let's get updated, let's get an update on this issue. So that's why I got this pronunciation course, because particularly in the country where I live, which is Spain, people has a lot of problems to get successfully through their studies, and particularly to speaking English with confidence and fluently. So I thought that could be very interesting to get look at the pronunciation in depth. So it was a fantastic experience. I'm very happy I made this decision.
I'm glad. Alisah, any questions from your side for Beatriz?
Yeah, I was just wondering, as far as your overall experience with the MOOC, what your favorite part was, or what you would say your main takeaway was, the main thing that you learned.
There's many of them really, but probably I would like to highlight two of them. First of all, is awareness, to get awareness of what is it that you are pronouncing correctly and what is not. What are your weaknesses and what's your strength? What is it that you never thought about and now you know this issue is important? So I think this is extremely important when you think about a new issue, when you are opening up a new chapter in your education or your learning. And that was fantastic because I discovered these areas which I was not aware of. And talking about awareness, I thought that pronunciation was a productive skill because it is so related to speaking. But now I have found out that it is also about receptive skills because pronunciation is pushing you to listen more, and then it also improves your listening skill, which is a receptive skill. So it was an amazing experience in that sense, because you never reflect about these things on your own.
Right. So it really challenged your sort of preconceived notions about what pronunciation is and how we develop pronunciation.
Yeah, that's right. And there was the third aspect that you don't think about, of course, and it is that there is people in some places in the world who is having problems or limitations to pronounce certain vowels or certain consonants or the clusters, consonant clusters, etc. So it is not just that they cannot do it. They need a complete training about how to produce the sounds.
And also practice listening to these sounds as well, being introduced to new sounds.
Exactly, yeah.
So intrigued with that dialogue between like what is said and what is heard. It's something that Beatrice, that you brought attention to, and that's so important, that it's not just about what you're uttering, but what is the other person hearing, and whether your hearing is sensitized enough. You know, oftentimes in the MOOC we have participants responding that I cannot make out what is different in the sound. And that's so much about ear sensitization, of being, you know, acclimatizing your brain and your mind and your to what you're used to hearing and what is that is being said. So I think Beatrice, you've thrown light to an extremely important and relevant point in that. Alisah?
Thank you.
I completely agree. Yeah. And as far as, so talking about perceptions and how we perceive accents, I was wondering how the MOOC may have impacted your perception of various pronunciations of English. So when you meet other people who have different pronunciations, if the MOOC has affected how you approach this situation or how you talk with people.
I would say that it wasn't a surprise or something new to me, because I'm in touch with very different accents from people from all over the world. So in that sense, I don't think that I can identify something different because I'm exposed to different accents all the time. Yeah.
You've been in a very multicultural environment.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Do you feel that that it has impacted your ability to be intelligible with others who have different accents of English, or for you to communicate in a better way, to facilitate communication?
Yeah, in a way it is, but for me the multicultural aspect is more related at the listening and at understanding what other people is saying. You know, there was, I remember so clearly that there is a very small video in the course, which is an advertising from academy, a language academy, where the participant is understanding something totally different to what he's listening over the radio. And it is related to an accident, to an important accident. So it has changed the sound from an S to a C. So it makes completely the situation that makes totally different. And I think that was an interesting example of how different can be the understanding of discourse, the word, or etc.
Even just practicing with hearing different sounds can sensitize your ears, as we were saying, but it can also help you to understand other people's accents and to appreciate others' accents as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Facilitate understanding. So were there any skills or any strengths that you feel that you have now that the MOOC really facilitated for you? So any?
Yes, I think it helped me a lot about the accent, because I was not very clear about how accent would be affecting the discourse or my talking, and now I'm a lot more clear about that. Yes, it is.
And Beatriz, sorry, Alisah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know, do you also use this in your teaching and with the teaching with the students? Like
yes, I do. Yes, because I have students for TEFL, and they love some of the tools we've been using in this course. And of course, I think the most effective tool that I'm using with them is about recording and listening carefully. Keep the recording and then listen to it a couple of weeks later or a month later and check on the progress, because that is so empowering to them, and it is also engaging, because sometimes when you are learning a language, there's so much grammar and so many details that you lose the joy of learning. So when you are in touch with your progress and you can see that for yourself, not because other people is telling you that you're doing so well, it is really empowering and engaging.
So to really sort of be able to gauge your own progress in that way is motivating.
Indeed.
Yeah,
help you sort of keep your eye on the goal. So would you say that that would be a tip for students who are now participating in the MOOC to sort of go back and listen to their own recordings and sort of gauge their own progress?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, because nobody likes to listen to their own voice. We have to go through that test. I don't know if you agree with that. I'm sure it happens everywhere. Yeah. So first of all, you gotta get used to your own voice, and then start listening on how you're doing. We do not realize the way we talk. So it is very reassuring. Listen to yourself and says, wow, I'm doing so well. Or, wow, I just have to improve 2 or 3 things. Or maybe I'm terrible and I have to do this, dedicate more time to it because I need to improve a little bit more.
But it helps you as well to see your problem areas and to sort of pinpoint your goals. And I think setting specific goals is something that we also saw questions about in the past weeks of the MOOC. Students asking, how do I set specific goals, or how do I know what areas to target first? So I think that's a really great tip, is to become familiar with listening to your own voice and comfortable with that process.
Exactly. There is another point about recording ourselves. It is that we do not dedicate time at all to read aloud. Reading aloud is something that you never have time to do in the classroom. When you're learning a language, grammar is first, phrasal verbs is first, some speaking with peers is first, but we are not dedicating time to read aloud or just to play a little bit like a role playing or something that is helping you to get fluency, to move your muscles, to coordinate the lips and tongues, etc. And when you're learning English or a language which is so different to yours, you need that training. I said to my students that pronunciation is like dancing, it's a physical activity. It's like playing an instrument. It is something that you should enjoy and move with the flow.
Yeah.
So if you don't practice, you can't improve, you can't go ahead.
And that's so funny because I actually relate to this specifically as well when you talk about language or pronunciation as something that has to do with muscle memory. I know I'm bilingual, so I learned to speak Dutch when I moved here to the Netherlands. And I remember that reading aloud was something
Yeah.
that actually specifically helped me to hear myself reading text aloud. I could sort of immediately gauge my own progress through that. And I always loved reading. And so reading aloud was a way to sort of, at the same time, gain new vocabulary, but also hear myself and how I was sounding. And I think you're so right that it does have to do with muscle memory to a certain extent and becoming familiar with new ways of producing sounds. And it's also a way to sensitize your ears as well. So that's a really
Absolutely.
good point. It's a very good point.
Indeed.
Yeah.
We
And
are
you also have to, you also have to learn how to breathe properly when you are reading aloud, when you are performing, because you have to project your voice. And it's a totally new technique.
Yeah.
So it deserves some time.
But I also admire the poetry with which you described it, Beatrice, the fact that it's a dance or a musical instrument. That's so beautiful because on one hand it's sheer it shows the beauty of language and the usage of that, but it also shows that indeed that all those profound notions which Alisah also said about muscle memory and practice and repetition and enunciating the words and articulating them out loud. But when you put it as something as playing an instrument or like a dance, there's the beauty of human movement in that. And I think that's very beautifully put. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I'm going to carry
Thank
that
you.
with me.
I agree. Yeah, a very insightful thing to share.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
Thank
wanted
you.
to ask as well, in the same vein, if you had any other specific tips that helped you. So as far as along the same vein as recording yourself and reading aloud, if there were any other things that you found throughout the MOOC really helped you progress.
Well, I think that it is very interesting to listen to other people talking in their own language or accent. It says, as well, we all have, the three of us, we all have different accents because we have learned English in different places in the world. And this is a very nice example of how rich English can be, and that there is no perfect English accent at all.
I think that's very relevant as well because you do see students asking questions where they doubt whether which accent they should adopt, if they should strive for British English or perfect standard American English. And I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to reassure someone that their own accent is beautiful and it's something that enriches English around the world and something they should carry with them. So I think that's
exactly.
Yeah.
That's very important. And sometimes in all our countries, we have a translation or a version of people talking in their own language. And when you listen to that actress, to that actor, to that politician, to that person in sports speaking in their own way of saying English, you get really surprised the way they do. with their own accent, if they are pronouncing correctly, if they are missing something, how could I help these people improve their skills, etc. It's very interesting, and it also helps students go through this process of dedicating sometimes to the pronunciation, to improving their speaking skills. I think this is very motivated. At the same time, pronunciation is not really taken care of as it should. So I'm going to be really spreading, shouting out this message, because I think it's very important both for students and also for professionals.
Mm-hmm. Because you do come across a lot of people on the MOOC, as well as people I know just in my daily life who are uncomfortable with their own accents. And I think to sort of be comfortable with the way you speak really sort of enriches your sense of self and how you perform in every area of your life. So it's other than just vocabulary and grammar, which are important, rigorous things to study, pronunciation also helps you become more of yourself and whole as your own and with your own accent. So
That's
I think
right.
very, yeah, it's a great thing to
That's very
share.
beautifully put, Alisah. Like that's the whole aspect, that we all come from different backgrounds, histories, talents, and all of it enriches us into our, as the world sees us and as we see the world.
Mhm.
And there is, Beatrice put it so wonderfully, there's no one way of being or one way of doing things. That would be a terribly boring world if everybody spoke English in just the same manner. I think I would get bored listening to people that way. I think
Yeah.
when somebody comes in and they start speaking an accent, I want to know more. I
Mhm.
want to learn more. I want to even know what they had for breakfast, for example,
Yeah.
and what are they watching? And there's, but unfortunately, English also comes with this large legacy of judgment.
Mhm.
It's one of the languages that's very harshly assessed when you do not speak it properly. Um, and I think that's something that we all need to reflect on when we start using it, is where we stand with it. So I think it's extremely important. And Beatrice, I also want to reflect on, you mentioned something very significant in the beginning. You said that I wanted to do something productive with my work during this corona period, and I wanted to invest time in myself. That's all aspects of a growth oriented mindset in which you want to grow. But would you have tips for somebody who, or advice or insight for somebody who's really struggling right now at this time, as to how to change their focus towards becoming more oriented towards growing? What do you?
Oh, that is a very interesting question indeed. And sometimes it's so difficult to find a space, you know, because we are pushed by our society and by our environment to stay doing things all the time. I can relax for 5 minutes doing nothing. And I think uh, the first thing I try to do when I need clarity or I'm looking for clarity or space for myself is do nothing. Is do nothing. Is to get bored. Is just to clean my mind completely. It doesn't mean that I'm going to the Himalayas, to practice yoga non-stop. No, it's just a question to find, I don't know, a few minutes a day or just a moment or a space in your own home where you can just empty your mind and it will come to you. I think that as human beings, we are perfectly capable to identify what we need at every single moment. Just turn off the TV, turn off the radio, turn off your social media just for 10 or 15 minutes and you will listen to yourself. It's like the reading aloud point that we have discussed a few minutes ago. Do something that you are not doing every day and you will find a way out. It will come to you and it will be very helpful. Just listen to yourself. No, maybe this sounds a little bit mystique, but this is the way how it works, how it's been working for millions of years. Just give some time to yourself and listen to yourself. Trust yourself, give yourself that space. And then you can go back to your social media, to your friends, to wherever you have to do, the children, all the obligations we all have. But first of all, I think we need to find this space for us. For me, I'm the type of person that will ever never stop learning. You know, for me, learning is essential. And learning means that you should not be going to a particular school or that you have to read certain type of books or be exposed to a particular knowledge, to something that you have ever never done, a cooking course, a pronunciation course that maybe you never thought about that, and this is going to provide you new opportunities, meeting wonderful people, open up area that you don't even knew existed, and now you find it is fascinating and you want to do something more about that, and then you can help other people improve as well.
Indeed.
So, you know, yesterday I was talking to a friend of mine because I was very excited to having this chat with you girls. And I said, you know what, I'm going to launch at least 1 hour a week, completely free for people who just want to know more about pronunciation. So I will starting my 1 free hour pronunciation Zoom classroom, maybe in a week or two, because I think that is the way that you can raise awareness. And maybe 1 hour per week is nothing, but I'm sure that there is people who will appreciate it. And that will be an incredible experience for me. You know, so sometimes do things that you never thought about. Give yourself that chance, and you will learn something new, and you will open something maybe extremely interesting. And I think this is another a positive aspect that I see from this situation is that we are here to cooperate between all of us, regardless age, regardless the place where you live, regardless anything. So this is an incredible chance to do new things and open up.
Indeed, indeed. And I think the MOOC provides such a wonderful opportunity across borders, across class levels, looking beyond
Yeah.
race issues, looking beyond ethnicities. It's very inclusive in that way, and that it celebrates diversity. So it does give that wonderful opportunity. I mean, for those of you who are watching right now and joining us later on after this recording has been made, for all teachers, all the material, the content on the MOOC is freely available for you to use in your classrooms. So please take this opportunity to go ahead and either reach out to us or feel free to use the content in whatever way you find feasible for your classrooms. Alisah, if I can give the floor to you now.
Thank you.
Of
If you
course.
have any other questions, any other
I just I'm also, I think it's so beautiful what you just said, because it's something that I think we've all been on this journey of figuring out how to still be productive in this time, but also how to set that aside for a moment and to find space for how we can still grow and interact. And I think it's so wonderful that people have the opportunity to participate in this MOOC at this time. Like Amrita said, it's very inclusive in that aspect, and I think that's something that's even more relevant now that everybody can join in. And as you said, that doing something new sparks new creativity in you. So anytime, I know for myself that I do a new activity or begin on a new activity, it inspires me to do something else. And what's that law, you know, the things in motion tend to stay in motion. So once you get started, this sort of creative spiral continues on. And I think that starting that spark is important, and that the MOOC can be that for someone. And even as you said, because we see it in how it's changed your life, that you say you had a great experience in it and enrich your life, and you learn things from it, and now you want to set aside an hour a week to continue to share it with others, and to continue enriching your own life with that. And I think that's actually great advice for people, especially, and very relevant advice right now.
Absolutely.
So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah.
well put.
Thank you.
I think this is a nice note to sort of end our conversation right now. I'm going to stop the recording. Of course, we'll keep chatting even after the recording. We have a lot to say.
Okay.
But I want to take this sort of opportunity to thank you, Beatrice, for sparing this time for us and sharing your wisdom. You've shared with us wonderful insights that I think are very powerful words during this time. And I hope the participants on the MOOC continue to learn and thrive and grow. And also, if anybody wants to join us for such conversations, please reach out to us, because Beatrice sharing with us has enriched our day and our time and brought us new vigor to sort of go through Corona with a mindset that wants learning to thrive. So if you would like to participate in a conversation like this with us, please reach out to us. A huge thank you to you, Beatrice. And Alisah, a huge thank you to you.
You.
Thank you both so much. And Beatrice, it was
Thank you so
so
much.
wonderful to hear all of your insights. Thank you.